This is Bill Cosby entering a courthouse in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. He's preparing for the pre-trial hearing for his second trial on sexual assault. The first trial, there was a hung jury, and so now here we go again. What we're learning about this trial that'll make it perhaps a little bit different is that prosecutors are hoping to have 19 victims come forward and describe what their interactions were like with Bill Cosby. His defense is obviously trying to stop that, and his defense is also arguing that the primary victim in this case, Andrea Constant, that her complaint is no longer valid because of the statute of limitations, that she missed her window. Part of the arguments that will be taking place this morning to determine whether or not this trial goes forward. Of course, we're going to be covering this for you, and a little later on we're going to have Ricky Kleeman to break down what to expect from the second trial for Bill Cosby. Cosby is back in court today for a pre-trial hearing in his sexual assault case. Now, prosecutors want to call at least 19 other accusers to the stand. They argue this could shed light on decades of Cosby allegedly drugging and hurting women. Today's hearing focuses on accuser Andrea Constant. The former Temple University employee claims the comedian sexually assaulted her in 2004. Well, Cosby's first trial ended in a hung jury last year. So CBS News legal analyst Ricky Kleeman is here following the latest. So we went through this all already. There was a hung jury. They couldn't come to a decision. What is going to be different this time around?
Well, there may be something different besides the lawyers, or there may not. Prosecution has moved and is going to get a hearing today and tomorrow on whether or not they can bring forward the testimony of 19 other accusers. In the first trial, they asked for 13 others. They got one. So they want 19. And the reason that they say they should be allowed to bring them forth is that although uncharged misconduct, that is other allegations, or what we call as lawyers prior bad acts, it's generally not admissible in any court of law in a criminal trial, except does it show a common scheme or plan, or what I would call a signature? That's why in trial one we got one other accuser. And does it show a mistake or an absence of a mistake? So what the government is arguing is they say, look, he's saying that he didn't know that she did not consent. Well, you didn't make that mistake 19 other times if you drugged other women. The defense says, wait a minute. What you're trying to do is try him on the basis of all the other accusers because your case is too weak, says the defense. And let's look at the practicality in addition to the evidence. We would need a continuance. We have to investigate all 19 of those claims. That could take weeks or months. And this trial, which would take a week or two, is now going to take 19 weeks if you let that in. Practicality may actually be the thing that decides this. But ultimately, you've got a really fair judge here. I really think Judge O'Neill tried this case by the books. And I don't see that he is going to reverse his own ruling of one other accuser.
The argument's the same, right, as it was the last time around,
It is exactly the same, or perhaps it even has more overtones of, well, now do we bring forth the other accusers in light of the cultural shift of Me Too?
So the defense is asking for something too. They filed a motion to dismiss.
They filed a motion to dismiss, which actually may have some teeth. What the defense is saying is, look, there's a statute of limitations. We've heard all kinds of things about statutes of limitations, which means you have to bring a case within a certain amount of time or else the case goes away. Pennsylvania had a really long statute. They had 12 years, which is why Andrea Constant was the one and only accuser who actually fell within the statute of limitations in order to go forward. The defense said, no, Andrea Constant's actual accusation, it comes too late. And we, the defense says, can show that to you. How? We're going to show that this really didn't take place between December and 2003 and January of 2004 because Mr. Cosby was not in Pennsylvania. His travel records will show that. In addition, we can show on the basis of telephone records that they won't match up with Andrea Constant's testimony. So the judge almost has to give them a hearing, or at least the ability to produce the records. By the way, the burden of proof that the crime is timely and should go forward is with the government. So if the defense has enough to raise a doubt about this,
that's all that's necessary.
The government has got to show that the defense may be wrong in its record keeping.
So is this a new argument? How come this didn't pop up the last time around?
It did pop up the last time, but not with as much detail. And so one of the things that has always been the question, because Andrea Constand cannot be sure of the exact date. So we're going to have to wait and see as to what the judge rules on this. My prediction is that the evidence, unless it is extraordinarily compelling that it didn't fall within the statute, that the case is going to go forward with jury selection on March 29th.
You know, it's sort of interesting that this trial now is taking place in sort of this hashtag #MeToo time. The first trial didn't. I mean, people were outraged, but now the framing around incidents has changed. We see things differently suddenly. Do you think that's going to have an impact on this case?
I don't see how it cannot have an impact on this case. We do know that a cultural shift of Me Too and Time's Up has certainly permeated the United States of America, if not the world, where when we disbelieved accusers, that now we believe accusers based on nothing more than their accusation. The pendulum has swung. However, what may be true as a cultural shift is not necessarily true in a court of law in a criminal case. The burden of proof is on the prosecution to prove each and every element beyond a reasonable doubt. And that is all about Andrea Constand, no matter what the cultural shift is. And you know, Anne Marie, what becomes the most important part of this case now as a result of Me Too and Time's Up?
What?
Jury selection. Because that is going to be the time where the defense and the prosecution have got to try to find quote-unquote fair and impartial jurors, but what they're really looking for are jurors who would be more partial to their side than the other. So obviously, I would think, though I am not Tom Mesereau, who is a brilliant defense lawyer, I would think if I were picking this jury for the prosecution, the younger, the better. If I'm picking a jury for the defense, the older, the better.
It will make sense. I'm actually looking forward to this. I'm sort of confused as to how we will get a different outcome, because it doesn't look like a lot has changed, unless, of course, they can scrap the whole thing altogether based on some of these motions and just not have it. But we'll see. And, of course, we're going to have you with us, Ricky.
Well, listen, I'll be with you. I think for last time it was, I think, 52 hours of deliberation that I moved into CBSN, and I will be here through that. And, you know, this is a very polarizing case, both in the courtroom, and it will be polarizing in the jury.
And not as clear-cut as people might think if they just read newspaper headlines.
Well said.
Ricky Kleeman, thank you very much. It was a night of inclusion.